Hi, I'm Emma, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Worsted Willow Podcast. I'm a knitter and crocheter, so I'll be sharing all of my making related things here. I also have a Ravelry on Instagram. Find me at Worsted Willow, and I try to keep up to date with all my projects there, and just kind of give more updates during the week in between podcast episodes. So, I'm not super great at it yet, but it's something I'm working on just because I want to be more active on those. So, I feel like I did a ton of knitting this week, and I don't really have too much to show for it, so it's going to be a lot of the same projects as the last couple episodes, but lots of progress on those few projects. So I'll start with what I'm wearing. This is the Luna Tee by Charissa Lam, and oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love it so much. I wore it to work yesterday, and it was perfect. All my coworkers didn't believe that I had made it myself. Well, they did because I knew they've seen stuff I've knit before, but it's just such a different style and like fit than I think people expect knitters to make from themselves. And yeah, I love it. It's like the perfect little business shirt. It's also super lightweight. It's really good for layering. Yeah, I love it. My only qualm with how I made it is I did a stretchy bind off on all of it. So you finish the body first. I did a stretchy bind off there, which I like the stretchy bind off there, especially because it's meant to be kind of tucked into pants more, so I'm not too upset. I maybe would have liked another inch or two of length on it. I think I did have to skip one decrease because I was running out of yarn, but that was partially because I had a big knot in my yarn and I had to unravel it and broke. I have a picture of the mess of the yarn that I had, so I'll put a picture in here because it was absolutely disastrous. That's probably why I don't have quite as much knitting as I wanted, but I had that and one other really big yarn mess. So yarn has not been my friend this week. But yeah, so I missed one decrease because of that. When I was untangling it, the yarn broke, and so I was able to get the length of the body without one decrease and like one final repeat. So I just ended it short, bound off, fine with it being, I was getting the length that the pattern said you should be at anyways, but I think because it's acrylic yarn, it didn't block out quite as much, so I'm going to block it more aggressively to get just a little bit extra length. But anyways, the one thing I don't really like, besides it being a little short, is these sleeves. I did the stretchy bind off on the sleeves as well, but I have really tiny arms, and these sleeves they just flare out so much. So I think I would have liked to just have bound off in pattern instead. I don't think it would have been too tight. I just did like the stretchy in pattern bind off. So you work in pattern and then you're constantly either knitting through the back loop or purling two together to add that little bit of extra stretch. But yeah, it just stretches out. I think I'm also going to try to block these sleeves down a little bit. And I'm still undecided if I make it again, if I would drop down to the size 2 or not. I made the size 3 because that was at 0 negative ease for me. But I think the size 2 would have been at 2 inches of negative ease, which was in the recommended amount. So I might drop down. That would also give me... Sorry, there's a trash truck passing by, and I don't know if you could hear it or not. But that would also give me a little bit extra yarn to like make it longer, maybe add a little bit more to the sleeves. I have a ton of potential colors I could do for this shirt. So I used one of these skeins. They're called Wool-like. They're loops and threads, and it's just Michael's brands. I think they're normally like $3.50 to begin with, but they're on sale for like $2 or less. So I got a bunch because I thought maybe I would use them for contrast for socks. But they're an 85-15 acrylic nylon, so I'm not really going to mix that with a wool sock. I would maybe make socks out of them by themselves. But there's 700 yards to one of those balls. They're still 100 grams, but they're just a lot lighter than wool. So I was able to use just one ball for this. So this is like a $2 shirt, which is kind of insane. Yeah, and I think the acrylic works really well for this type of shirt because it is really lightweight. So now that it's acrylic and not wool, I'll probably be able to wear it throughout the summer. And yeah, so I'm excited to make more of these shirts. Probably take a break from it for a little bit, but I think I'll make that blue gray teal that I showed you next. That or like gray or the mustard yellow. I'm kind of in between those. So if you have any opinion on which color I should go for next, put it in the comments below. So that's my 1FL for the week, but like I said, I spent a lot of time on tangling yarn, and I finished, I mean, you can't see because it's tucked in, I probably finished a good 4 inches on the body plus bind off and then both sleeves. So I got a ton of knitting done on it. It just doesn't feel like a lot because I've had this project on my needles for a really long time, but it feels really good to have it off and to be able to wear it. And yeah, I love it. So moving on to whips. I only have one new whip this week. It's a pretty basic hat. So that is a new Musselburgh, good old classic Musselburgh hat. I got this yarn last year. It's a Hobby Lobby yarn, which I don't really support them anymore after I just been more educated about their involvement in certain things. But I stopped there last year when I started knitting, and I got this yarn. My fiance is a Bears fan, and as you can see, it kind of has like navy blue and orange speckles. So I had made him one other hat that was Bears color last year, but it was a worsted weight yarn. And then I started making Musselburghs around Christmas time. And I love the hat pattern, and I was like, I'll make him a Musselburgh as well. So I'm finally getting around to that now that it's cold. We also left the other hat at a friend's house last year and still have forgotten to get it back. We see them pretty frequently, but there's just been a lot of miscommunication in trying to get it back, and there wasn't really a need for a long time, so it's still at their house and we'll get it back soon. But I also have my stitch marker. I got this stitch marker from a local yarn store, and it's Chicago flag colors. But yeah, I started this on Saturday. I did all the increases, so I got to the stockinette part. I had some travel with my mom Saturday. Probably got here-ish. Then we had, what else did I work on it during? I think I worked on it. I think I worked on the Luna Tea during board games this past weekend. I worked on this during like our small group and stuff like that. So just pulled it out at random times whenever we were in the car or that sort of thing. So I got probably about halfway done. I haven't weighed this. I'm just going to kind of go. It took me like 10 grams of yarn for the increases. So I'll probably go to about 20 grams left of yarn, do the decreases, and then I'll have 10 grams left over to make a yarn cozy. I have a bunch of scraps in that bin up here. And at one point I'm just going to sit down one week and make like 5 yarn cozies because I go so quick. Maybe after holiday knitting I'll do that because I have no time with making presents right now. But yeah, nothing really interesting about this. I'm making an adult medium. I think my stitch count was 6.5, so I have 120 stitches. And yeah, it's just chugging along. I'll be making another Musselburgh as soon as I finish this one for my sister for Christmas. So everyone's getting a Musselburgh for presents. That's the gift of the year. But that is my only new whip at this point. So I have one more whip, and it's my MKAL. So I'll put the spoiler warning, like before. I'll probably do that for one more week, and then after that, because I'm still behind, so it's not like I'm showing the most recent stuff anyways. But I'll be showing my MKAL. It'll be spoilers for Clue 1 and Clue 2. I will be talking about what's in Clue 3 and 4 though, so if you don't want any spoilers at all, you can skip ahead to the timestamp. Okay, so my MKAL. I'm still on Clue 2, but I did make a lot of progress. So early on in the week, I focused mainly on getting my Luna tee finished, and then the second half of the week, so the last few days, was more focused on my MKAL. So I finished up this second ray, so now I have, oh gosh, both full ray sections done, and then I got my first cable section done. So here, let's see if I can like maneuver this. So there's my first cable section. If I bring it too close to the camera, it gets really blown out. But yeah, so I really love the cable section. I'm still not a huge fan of doing cables. I realize I just don't like cabling to the back. So I'm fine with cabling to the front. That doesn't bother me too much. It's a little finicky to cable to the back. But one thing I do like about cabling is there's like 8 rows of just doing things in between the cables. So there was only 4 cable rows where you're actually moving the cables in this entire section, which is not bad at all. So I also did make a big mistake at the end of this. So, and I need to add the modifications I did for section 3 onto my Ravelry so that you guys can see how I did it in full knits instead of having to purl at all, because that was a huge time saver. I do not think I would be even finished with this wing if I did not do that. So, but yeah, so I did make one mistake on the cable section. I was not looking carefully enough, and the last right side row, you knit 2 together on all the cable sections, all the like knit cable sections, and I didn't read that. So I just did my normal purl and knits, and then I got to the end and I started the I-cord bind off, and then I was like watching his video to make sure I remembered how to do an I-cord bind off properly. And then I realized that I did the last row wrong, and so I had to drop the I-cord bind off, which was very confusing, and I ended up dropping a lot of the stitches that I was picking up along the I-cord, and so I just had all these stitches falling out of the I-cord and like stuff falling off. It was very terrifying for a moment there. But it ended up being fine. All the stitches that were picked up off the I-cord bind off, I had my cable needles and I looped all of them onto there so that they couldn't continue to fall off. And then I started looping them back into the I-cord on a different cable needle. And then on that cable needle, I just held them. Once they were like through the I-cord, I held them there. I put them on a cable needle and then put needle stoppers on that cable needle so I could reverse knit the entire last row, go back, do all the knit twos together, and then, so I had, I think it was 7 stitches from the I-cord bind off, or picked up from the I-cord bind off fall off. So what I did was I left 4 of them, and the last like 3 I knitted normally, and then I came back after finishing the I-cord bind off and sewed in the 4 stitches that I dropped. So I don't know if you guys will even be able to see this on camera, but you can see here I had like looped around and like whip stitched these stitches down. So you can see there's like a little bit of wonkiness, but in reality when I wear this, I don't think that's going to be noticeable at all. And you can see like all the end weaving in and like stitching I did on the back. But oh my gosh, was I scared for a moment there, because that was probably the worst mistake I've made in knitting so far. I mean, I've only been knitting for a year, so I have plenty of time to make even bigger mistakes. But yeah, that was not a fun time. Overall, though, the cable section didn't take that long to do. I think I did it in just a couple days of knitting. And yeah, I have one more cable section, then I'll move on to clue 3, which will be the big long cable sections off of this one. I'm going to wait to do the I-cord embellishments until the end so I can see how much contrast color I have left, because I feel like my shawl is just huge. And there's a decent amount of contrast color in clue 4 as well. I am probably going to make one modification after looking at the final clue. So I'll do the big long chain off of the cables and then do the stripey section to finish the wing. But for this bottom part, oh, you can't even see me. So for this bottom part, there's the twisted rib section and then like more spiky sections that are striped, like more chevrons. I think all I'm going to do is the twisted rib section in my contrast color, because I don't really like how long those spikies get. And yeah, I kind of just want something to be able to like sew these down to. And I liked having that pop of contrast along the bottom. But I don't think I want any more than that. So that's kind of my plan going into it now that I've seen the final shawl. And I'm really excited. Plus that means I have a little bit less knitting to do on it, which is always good. I think though, when I do the I-cord embellishments, instead of doing a normal knit I-cord, I'll probably do a crochet I-cord or like thick crochet chain, just to make it a little bit quicker since I know how to crochet. I find like when we did the initial cast on and did a full I-cord, that was just a little fiddly. So I would rather do a crochet version. But yeah, I think that's all on my MKAL for now. My goal going into this week is to catch up through clue 3, which I think, without doing the I-cord embellishments, I think that's entirely reasonable. I have, like I said, one more cable section, and this did not take that long. It took about 2 days of knitting. And then I saw that people were doing the long cable sections so quickly, because it wasn't really, there's a lot of rows, but it wasn't a lot of like stitches in each row. So I just need to buy size 4 DPNs to do that section, so I'll need to run to Joann's and just get the little clover ones. I don't have a DPN set. It's probably something I should buy at one point. But yeah, that's kind of my goal. If I can get anywhere into clue 4, that would be amazing. But I just don't know if that'll happen this week. I'll probably actually have a lot more downtime this week, and then next week the weekend after I'll be traveling. So I'll need some more Musselburghs or easier projects for that. But this week I'll have a lot of time to spend on my MKAL, which will be nice. Yeah, I think that's it. I won't bring it back out anymore, so if you had left, it's all good to come back. So yeah, now I'll move on to acquisitions, and I do have a few acquisitions this week. So, the first is just a little small thing. I got the Cocoknits cable needles, so they're just nice little nickel steel cable needles. I just had bought like a really cheap plastic set when I was trying out cables for the first time. I did not like them at all. They were just like the cheap clover ones from Joann's, and they were really, really gross to work with. So I got the metal ones when I found out that the MKAL had some cabling. So yeah, I needed those, and they do work a lot better. They are a little bit slipperier, but I kind of like that. The plastic ones would get caught a lot of the times, and I think this divot is a little bit deeper, so the stitches stay in place on that a little bit better. But that is just a quick little thing. It's also nice because with my Delaque Maker's Train case that has that magnetic top, and those magnetize to it, which is really, really nice because anything that's small does not want to, it's like so easy to lose it. So if I can get it in metal and do the magnets, it makes it so much better. Next acquisition, I did get a little bit of yarn. So I got this crazy fun ball of sock yarn. So this is the Zauberball Crazy. Let's see if I can get that to focus. It's a German yarn. I've used it once before for some socks for my fiance, but my sister really likes this marled yarn style. She also had socks that she got with the marled yarn. It was a different brand, and she wants a Musselburgh for Christmas, and she said she wanted blue and green. So I found this bright blue and green yarn to make a Musselburgh with. I think it's going to be really fun though, because all the color changes and everything. I've only done like single skein hand dyed. Oh no, that's not true. I did do one Musselburgh. My first one had color blocking in it, so there's like a white on each end and then green in the middle. But I've never used like a color changing yarn for a Musselburgh before, which will be really fun. And I love these yarns because you kind of never know how the colors are going to turn out. They were really fun with socks because I could get 4 shorty socks out of one ball, so I could get 2 pairs of socks. And when you have this marled yarn, each sock just looks completely different, so it was really fun to knit with. And now my fiance just has like a little mismatched set. So this is my one yarn acquisition. And then my last acquisition, this is something I've been wanting for a while. I have a crochet stitch dictionary, but I do not have a knit stitch dictionary. So I got this, the Ultimate All-Around Stitch Dictionary. Just because sometimes, like, when I was working the single molt, or I have some sweaters in my closets that are, like, store-bought that I just, like, kind of want to know what stitch pattern they use. I specifically have like one sweater pattern in my closet that's from Target from a couple years ago that I absolutely love, but they're kind of getting really beat up, and I didn't realize they were made with cotton acrylic yarn, so they're not even actually that warm. So I kind of just wanted to have a stitch dictionary in hand so like I could look up stitches, because sometimes I can look at them and kind of tell what's going on, but it's hard to Google that then. So yeah, I'm really happy. It has all the color photos in here, and then charts for the chart-based ones, and then it's got instructions for both flat and in the round, which is really nice. So yeah, I'm excited to start messing around, maybe maybe working on some designs of my own, or at least recreating some stuff for myself. I already marked the sweater stitch, I think it is, so it's a slipped rib, and I'm, oops, dropped my bookmark. I'm very excited for that, and hopefully I get a really nice sweater or something out of it. But that's it for my projects for this week. So if you were just here for knitting talk and you don't want to hear about all the other stuff going on in my life, thanks for hanging out. Like I said, leave a comment about what color Lunati I should do next. It's my only commentable thing right now because my MKAL is just a beast. But yeah, so for life stuff, my mom visited last weekend and we went to see, we went up to Evanston for the Chicago Humanities Festival to see, oh, I can't even remember his name. He created Everybody Loves Raymond. His name is Phil. I don't remember his last name. And he has a show on Netflix called Somebody Feed Phil. And he travels around the world and does a bunch of food tasting and also like just seeing people's cultures and things like that. It's actually got about 6 seasons on Netflix and was on PBS for 1 season before that. But we saw him talk. He had released a book. It was just like a cookbook, recipe book. And that was really fun. And we just kind of hung out, and unfortunately the yarn store was already closed by the time we got up there because we didn't take the train in until about 4, and they closed at about 4, so that was really sad. I didn't get to do that, but there's plenty of cute little shops. It's a nice little downtown area up in Evanston. But yeah, so when we were there, I was working on my Musselburgh, and I worked on it like during the show as well. And that was the first time I had knitted in like a theater environment, so that was very interesting to try. It was a little stressful at first though. I'm still not used to like knitting more by feel than by sight, so it was good practice though. And I didn't have any big mistakes during it, which was really good. Yeah, and then Sunday we just like played board games. I've been working a lot this week. We had some new people start, so I've been in the office helping with training, and I'm in a hybrid schedule, so I don't have to go in very often, but this past week I had to go in for a few days. And then this coming weekend, we have a Halloween party tonight. Me and my fiance are going to be Leslie Knope and Ben Wyatt, which is super exciting because Parks and Rec is my comfort show, and I love Leslie Knope. So that's partially why I'm not wearing glasses today, is because we're going to do that tonight. And then tomorrow is the start of the in-person MKAL at my local yarn shop, Nina, and I'm so excited for that. I am very excited to start that sweater, and just like, I've been wanting to find a knit group for a while, so it's going to be so exciting to just like hang out with other knitters in person, and not just like, I love watching podcasts and hanging out with knitters that way, but to be able to like interact more than just when I'm like shopping at the store and things like that. But yeah, so that's very exciting. I'll be doing the Easy V by Caitlin Hunter, and that's it for that. Sunday we'll have board games like normal. So pretty much the big highlights are Halloween tonight, and then knitting tomorrow, which is going to be, that's already a good weekend right there, so I'm very excited. Yeah, I think that's all I have for today. So if you like the video, please leave a like down below, and if you want to get notifications when I post, it's usually sometime earlier in the day for me, Friday. Subscribe to the channel as well. Leave a comment below if you have any questions on any of my projects or suggestions. I definitely like getting suggestions from people, so I've been pretty not great about replying to comments, but I'm working on it. I still want to go through every comment at this point, and it was just a really hectic week with work, so I will get around to that this weekend. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.